Good evening, warriors. My name's Kerry Duval. I am the Warrior Queen. And tonight, I'm joined by the amazing Dr. Margaret. Welcome to Warrior TV.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kerry. Yeah.
So obviously, I know in the little chat before we came live, you were telling me you were a little bit nervous, but then we had a little bit of a chat. We had a little bit of a laugh. But we'll start with some quick fire questions anyway. So I'm going to start with cat or dog?
Pardon?
A cat or dog?
Dog.
Tea or coffee?
Tea.
I like tea as well. If money was no object, where would you live in the world?
In an island.
Yeah, me too. I'd have my own island.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And finally, does pineapple belong on pizza?
Do pineapple?
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
No.
I love it. Personally, I love it. It's one of them. So, and obviously in your bio, I know it says all these wonderful things, but you have actually missed the most crucial thing, in my opinion, the fact that you're a mum. We'll get onto that. But I want to hear about who is Margaret. So tell me about you growing up.
Yeah. Okay. Margaret is an ordinary village girl. I grew up in a village near Nairobi, but rural anyway. And my village was known for as a hardship area where it's semi-arid. There is nothing there that actually supports people in terms of economically. So it was a struggle. And I remember growing up that one of the ways we put food on our table was going to the garden and digging. And sometimes there was no guarantee because it was not an area where there is any cash crop or the rain was guaranteed. So I grew up in a very humble family economically, but I would say that probably my parents were not humble in terms of the things that they were hoping that we would become. So they really gave us the best of what they could, though it was a real struggle. My father was a driver. My mom was a housewife. And that is why going to the garden was her way of contributing to food on the table for us as a family. So I am a last born in a family of 7. I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And being a last born, people may assume like I will just wait for everybody to take care and I just sit there. But when I look back, I remember that I used to contribute a lot in my family because my mom would come with onions, the green onions, and I would go sell in the market to get food for dinner. My mom would come with kales or spinach, and I would go sell and bring the money, and we can buy flour, we can buy something for dinner. So actually, I was active in terms of contributing to the family when I was in primary school. So when I went to high school again, I did very well in primary school, so I qualified to go to join a national school in Kenya, which is a big deal here. But for me, when I went there, I remember that I was there to change the story of my family. So that was what I really wanted to do, and I actually was not afraid of telling my classmates that I am here to change the story of our family, because of course when you go to national school, there are children from well-off families, they are being dropped, they have pocket money, they have everything they need. You have one pair of shoes and you know that you're not going to get another one anytime soon, no pocket money, all those things were not there. But for me, I focused on studying and I told myself I'm not going to sit down and pity myself. I needed to do something. So with a group of other girls who also felt the same, we worked hard. And so after high school, I was able to get marks to qualify to join university. But for me, again, it was not as easy as it can be. So I did not have the resources to go to university straight. And I ended up finding myself married. And I thought my dream of getting to where I wanted academically was over, only for my husband to support my education. And we began a school, first of all, to give back to society and to try and educate children like me who are looking forward to having education change their story. And because I did not qualify to actually run the school because I didn't have an educational background, I went back to college. That is when I went to do my degree in education. And that is when I discovered again, there is another need from the parents that were serving in terms of parenting, personal problems. Children were also indisciplined and we needed to help them. Teachers also needed a little boost here and there. So I ended up again doing a master's degree in counseling psychology. And that is when now, even as a person, I got opened up. I used to be shy. I used to be very introverted. I used to shy away, especially from some topics. I could not talk about sex. I could not talk about myself and where I came from. I really didn't want, I was not comfortable. But after therapy, personal therapy, which is a requirement for you to do counseling psychology, I actually started feeling more bold, and I started talking, and I started feeling comfortable addressing any topic. So for me, as much as psychology has armed me with all the things I'm doing, especially giving back to society and the trainings I'm doing, it's changed me as a person, and it made me the person I am today, that I can be able to speak here, and before I couldn't. So one of the goals when I was growing up was to change the story of my family. And that is why I was really trying to work hard. And when I look back, I remember telling my parents I'll never get married because I don't want a situation where somebody will tell me you can't look after your parents, you can't even help your siblings. But I ended up with a person who actually made it so easy for me because he supported my desires, and he supported not only even my relatives, even other people who needed help, who did not even relate to me or him. So I really feel proud to be his wife, and I couldn't have asked for a better person. And on top of that, we got gifted with 4 children, all of them boys. But that does not mean that I don't have daughters. I have daughters that grew up in my home, and they call me mom. And I have a big family. I wouldn't even finish talking about my family if I started, so I don't want to go there. So I am also a grandma. This year I became grandma from my biological son, firstborn, and I'm so happy and thankful for this far. So I hope that is enough, Kerry.
It is, yeah. And you know what?
Yeah.
Like I said off camera, you don't look old enough to be a grandma. No, you don't. And
thank you.
Another thing I said was it sounds like your husband is a brilliant person, and the fact that he supported you to make yourself better and to grow as a person, and in educating yourself, I think that's brilliant as well, because obviously you hear all these horror stories of these horrible men that just want to control you and stop you from doing whatever you want. To have somebody that says, no, go on, be who you are, do whatever you want, we can, the family can wait. To have that supportive partner in your life is brilliant. Don't let him go.
Thank you. I wouldn't.
Don't let him go.
I will not. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So obviously we're going to backtrack a little bit. Obviously you grew up in Kenya.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So obviously you had a big family.
Yeah.
You had a big family. So
yes.
Did your parents initially support you going to school and bettering yourself into further education?
Okay, my parents were involved in my primary school education. As I said that I attended a public school in primary and even in secondary, because that is where they could afford. So for themselves, they were not educated like formally, but they were brilliant people. My dad, may he rest in peace, was a driver, and for me, I look up to him and the way he was trying to be excellent in whatever he did, and I look up to what he did, and I feel like I also want to be perfect in what I do, because I remember him telling us that as a driver for more than 40 years, he has never had an accident because he tried to be careful. So for me, that was one way of telling me, whatever you do, be careful so that you're just a perfect person. So I borrowed that from him as much as he did not get a formal education. So they supported me in primary and secondary. And even when I got married, they were still there to just cheer me on. And they always came to assist where I needed them. Especially my mom is a very prayerful person. And anytime I need a shoulder to cry on, I used to go, and she would just pray for me and tell me everything will be fine. That is what I actually needed, just to feel like, yeah, I have all the support I need. So they really supported me.
Yeah. Well, again, which is brilliant that you had that supportive family around you. So here you are with a brilliant supportive partner and a supportive family behind you. So what sparked your interest in mental health? And that's a question from Adam.
Yeah, I got interested because when I was running the school, we began to it's a memorial school named after my mother-in-law. So when we began, for us, it was clear that the goal of the school was to give back to society, to give chances to children from poor backgrounds. So when I was running the school, I was doing it personally. I'm the one who used to talk to parents. I'm talking to children. I'm there hands-on. And I realized that there were struggles that people were going through. Sometimes a father could come and pay school fees and actually share with me that they had given the money before, but because we used to, they pay a little money so that we can sustain the teachers. Those who cannot, they actually will actually learn without paying. But I remember some of the instances where a lady would be given money to come and pay, and instead of coming to pay, they do other things. So a father who is so angry and frustrated would come and tell me, no, I had paid this money. So I realized there are some struggles that were not related to education, but at that time I didn't know how to help. So I told myself, I need to go back and find where I can get this help, so that I can be able to know, how do I assist them? How do I make it better for them? Because they are families and they must be living in difficult situation, because this is already a conflict. So how are they going to handle it? So for me, I told myself I needed to be empowered, so that I can be able also to help people and support them the right way. So I ended up going back to school to do counseling psychology.
Yeah. You know, and obviously another thing we spoke about in the obviously before we came live was the suicide rates in Kenya, and you told me something that touched me. So do you want to tell our audience what you said to me?
Yeah. Kenya is not doing well, and especially when it comes to suicide rates, it's like there's a rise, especially this year. Last year, things were not okay, especially during the lockdown with COVID. There was a lot of domestic violence. People are reaching out to me, Margaret, what do I do? How do I handle this? I'm overwhelmed by my children. You know, like I don't even know my children, because I used to go to work and leave them at home with my domestic help. And here I am now, I'm stuck with them. So there was a lot of turmoil, and I tried to assist people, and that's how I came up with the program that we will talk about. So this year, it's not clear, but maybe we'll find out why. Like between June and August, suicide rate in Kenya like doubled. It's approximately 500 cases that were recorded, which is way high than the normal yearly average. The normal yearly averages are around 311, but between June and June and between May, June, July, it was 483 cases, which this is extremely worrying. And among them is a 9-year-old, the youngest, and the oldest is 76-year-old. So for me, I feel like for that child, we are letting that child down, because how did it end up like this child who does not even know probably what life is, that they are taking their own life? And this 76-year-old who has maybe served our nation, and at what point in time did they feel they can't take it anymore? And how can we miss to see the signs to show that these people are distressed and they needed help? That is really what worries me, and that is why I'm bringing myself forth to do what I can do as a person.
Yeah, and obviously that really touched me because my son's 9 years old and life hasn't begun for him yet. And for a child that is the same age of him to say, no, I don't want to be here anymore, and to even attempt suicide, let alone actually achieve it, and for whatever reason, it's horrifying. And that really touches me as a mother because obviously, as I said, I've got my own 9-year-old, and that's horrible to know that there's a mother out there that's had to bury their child. You know, I mean, my children are still my babies. Even though they're 9 and 8, they're my babies. I couldn't imagine how horrific it is to bury a child. I never want to go through that. I never even want to know what that feels like. That's horrible even thinking about it. So my heart goes out to those parents who have lost their kids. It really does, because I'm right there. So obviously you've mentioned the mental health championship program that you've started. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so the program started last year in July. That is after I had given like individual attention to so many people. I was invited to speak in forums. I've been speaking to surgeons. I've been speaking to doctors. I've been speaking to bank staff, the people working in the bank, and many other people. And the more we spoke, the more we talked about their problems, and I was trying to answer their questions. I realized that these were just the tip of the iceberg. And I knew in my heart that there are people who do not even know where they can even seek help. And that is how I ended up, one of the people we worked with, especially with the bank staff, I asked her whether we could begin something and invite anybody who would just join. It didn't matter to us whether you are a student, whether you are a doctor, whether you are a housewife, whoever was willing to join, and it is free online. So we decided to just begin. And when we began, there was overwhelming interest, and all people from all walks of life joined, professionals, students, and what have you. And so we began in last year in July, and the first cohort graduated in around December. We began cohort 2, more people joined, and they graduated. Cohort 3, they graduated recently, and now we are on cohort 4. And every cohort sees an increase in people and interest and diversity. And we are having people interested from other countries. We have had people from South Africa, people from Nigeria, people from Uganda, people from Ethiopia, and Sudan joining and actually graduating with us. So I am actually happy that I'm able to impact on them, and I'm able to teach them how they can be able to, first of all, look after themselves before they can even look after other people who are struggling.
Yeah, which again, I think that's a brilliant message. You know, to be able to teach people, you've got to look after yourself before you can look back after anybody else.
Yes.
And obviously, you have to teach them, look after yourself, self-care. That's obviously got to be a massive thing. You know, obviously, at the Mental Health Warriors, we obviously promote do as much self-care as you can. Look after yourself, because if you look after yourself, your mental health will follow as well, because then if you're in a positive frame of mind, you'll have a positive mental health. And that's how we want to, obviously, we want people to stay in a positive mindset. Because we're trying to stop the stigma of mental health, and we're trying to cut down these suicide rates, because they're skyrocketing just about anywhere around the world. I mean, obviously, I don't know the current statistics in the UK, so feel free to tell me in the comments if anybody does know. I do know they have skyrocketed. There's a gentleman in the next town to us. He killed himself, sadly, in the last few days, because his business went under because of COVID. Yeah. And now he's gone. So obviously that family have lost their family member. It's sad.
Very sad.
Yeah, and obviously we have to talk about suicide a little bit, because, of course, it's Suicide Awareness Month. Yeah. And with Suicide Awareness Day a couple of days away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is so sad that if people feel like they're getting to that point where they want to end their lives, please reach out and speak to us. There is plenty of people out there that will listen to you. If you just want to rant your worries away, fine. We'll listen to you, and we're not here to judge you. We're here to help you. We want to keep you here to prevent your families from having to bury their loved one. Nobody wants to do that. It's horrible.
Yeah.
We'd rather keep you here, get you onto the road to recovery, and then get you on Warriors to tell you everybody about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, because we can have a laugh. Yeah, and of course, Adam says the mental health warriors are here to listen. If you want to speak to us, please reach out to any of the warriors. There's 14 of us. Any of us will listen to you, even if it's just to have a rant because you're angry. We'll listen. We all have those days where we need a rant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, back to you, Dr. Margaret. So
Thank you.
Obviously, you've got a fabulous bio that you're an educator and a research consultant and a mental health specialist, and you've got a master's degree. Yeah. So what I want to know is, what's your favourite label? So is it a mother, a grandmother, or an educator? Which one is it?
Okay. That is a tricky question, especially when it comes to the fact that I sent you a bio without my personal information. The fact that I deal with a population that is already struggling with the different situations, I actually am very careful when I'm introducing myself. I could be introducing myself to people who are struggling with the lack of children and fertility, and I do not want my introduction to make them already feel like, here you are, like all other people, you are telling us, oh, I'm very sensitive. So when I'm asked, it depends on the environment I am in, and it depends on what I feel, and that is how I introduce myself. So I might just skip the being a mother if I feel there are people who may need my help and assistance, and they may have to know that I am a mother as we engage and as I support them in different ways. So when I was asked for my bio, I did not want to overwhelm the person who asked with so much details. So I stuck to me, the mental health advocate, and I gave my professional bio. So my personal bio is there. I'm very proud of it. And actually my best title is being a wife, because without being a wife, I don't have children. So for me, being a wife comes first. Being a mom comes next. And being a grandma comes after being a mom, because that is the way they follow each other. So for me, being my mom and father's child, they follow that order. The order in which I became a child, then I became a wife, I became a mother and a grandma, and proud of that all.
Yeah. And you know what? It comes across that when you're telling us about it, it does come across how proud you are of yourself. So, all right, okay. So without talking about anything personally, what's your greatest achievement in your working life?
My greatest achievement is ability to impact in a person and get through to them in terms of getting them aware of who they are. I have done so much, but for me, when I get through to a person and get them to evaluate and appreciate what they are and what they are capable of doing, I feel like I've opened up a person into unlimited possibilities. So that is actually, it may not be one particular person, but for me, in my mind, I know, and I wouldn't want to say, because I like some things to remain that way, but I have touched some individuals because of being a counseling psychologist. I'm able to recognize people who may need just a word or two, or any kind of support, and then they unlock and they're able to become who they were meant to become. So for me, that is the best the best part of what I have been doing.
Which again is brilliant. Obviously you've talked a lot, you know, and you sort of, the questions that I had ready for you, you sort of already answered for me. So I'm going to have to keep it short and sweet and bring you back on for a part 2. If that's okay?
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We've had some amazing engagement today. And thank you, Dr. Margaret, for coming on Warrior TV.
Thank you. Thank you so
please
much.
Don't be a stranger and come back.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, thank you so much.
Tune in tomorrow, 1:00. Adam has got a guest. He didn't tell me who, and I've completely forgotten who. So tomorrow, 1 p.m. on Warrior TV, Adam is live with his guest. I've completely forgotten who you've got, Adam. Sorry.
You're forgiven.
Thanks again for joining us. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.